Welcome to the channel of Discover Your Gift. Here, we're going to teach you what your purpose is in life, what you're here to do. If you're looking for that, if you're asking yourself what my purpose is, this is the video exactly for you. I'm going to share with you the methodology that we use in the program. Okay, so you understand what is the process and what are the tools of self discovery that we use. So, I'm going to share my screen and really share with you the step and step what we follow in the journey and in the program of Discover Your Gift. So, how to find our purpose? This is the question that we have one moment in our life. Okay. And I'm going to share with you the step by step. Before doing that, I'm going to share with you uh, a little bit of context. And is that we all have a soul, and this soul is pure, right? Is connected to source, the universe, God, whatever. And it's, knowing, it always knows what's the next step is connected to the core of what it is. The problem is that this soul enters what is called a body, right? So this is the realm of the soul, the spirit, and this is the material 3D. And the body goes through a process of conditioning. Conditioning is everything we've told we have to be, how we have to behave, what we have to do. And these are all layers, right? These are layers that are put inside of this soul that covers the soul. So you have to imagine that the soul is this ball here, and all these layers are things that we put above that really the end is this connection. So this is what I want you to understand, this connection. What's happening to you, what happened to me, is that we are disconnected from our soul because our soul has all the information. I want you to see it as there's like a cloud or an iCloud, a Google Drive with all the information meant for you, all the people, all the abundance, all the things there are for you. And you're here on this earth, right? But you are not connected to this, right? You are not connected to this because if you were connected to this, you would already know what the next step is, what you're here for, what the people are for you, what's your mission, all of these things. But this is not happening. Okay. So how can we tap into that? Well, in Discover Your Gift, we follow a process. We follow a process that is first, of course, as you understand, if we want to get to the soul and to the purity, we have to start by understanding this conditioning because this conditioning has created the disconnection. So the first step that we're going to do is a process called the deconditioning. And this deconditioning starts by understanding something, which is the mind. Your mind thinks in a way, thinks that it has to be something, it has to be someone, it has to do some things, right? So the conditioning actually happens on the mind. And we all have something called a personality. So this is the first step of the methodology, is understanding our personality, right? Our personality actually is a character. So think of it like life is a movie and you're playing a character. When you go to school, you always have a position in the classroom, right? My position was to be the clown, the one that makes everyone laugh. So of course, I grew up with that etiquette, with that label of I'm the one that people laugh with or laugh at. I'm the one that makes people laugh, and that's how I get validated. Well, you have a story that we have to uncover. That's exactly what we're doing on the first step of the journey, is really uncovering what is your personality. And actually, interestingly, there's 9 types of person. That's recording. Sorry, I thought I was not recording. Okay. We have to understand what is your personality. And interestingly, there's only 9 personalities. So it's very narrowed down. We can narrow down to 9 characters. The problem with these characters is that they are looking for something, right? Each one of these characters is looking for something. And since we have 9 characters, we're looking for 9 main things. And this, we can take a wheel and we can put the 9 characters here. I'm going to explain you why I put them on this order. Okay, but these are the 9 personalities. So what is the personality 2 looking for? It's looking for love. What is the 3 personality looking for? For validation. What is the 4th personality looking for? Is looking for attention. What is the 5th personality looking for? Well, for security in information. What is the 6th? Is looking for, certainty in the future. What is the 7th? Is looking for pleasure, is looking for distraction. What is the 8th looking for? For superiority, or not being inferior or vulnerable. What is the 9 looking for? For harmony. What is the 1 looking for? Is looking for being, perfectionist. All of these people are looking for something. The 2nd is called the helper. The 3rd is called the triumpher, the one that runs the best. This is my number. The 4th is the artist. It's also very emotional. The 5th is the scientist. The 6th is it's actually also a leader. The 7th is the enthusiast. The 8th is the leader as well. I would say this is more the leader, but it's in a different way. Actually, all of the 9 types have a type of leadership. So basically, naming one as the leader is not correct. Everyone can be a leader in their own way, but the 8th would be kind of the one that wants to be in control, that is the authority. The 9 would be the diplomat, because always wants everyone to be good and be harmonious. And the 1 is the reformer, because actually the 1 looks for perfection, but also on society, so wants to reform society. Well, this is something called the Enneagram. And the Enneagram that you can look online, if we look at online, you'll look at like this. So there's 9 numbers. So this is what we teach on the first part of Discover Your Gift, really understanding your personality type. Why? Because your personality type is actually looking for something in the outside that you didn't get from your parents. So you really have to get down to that to really give space to your life. Because until now, you're positioned yourself, you put this mask, you put this costume, you put this identity of this person that you are not. And that's why you're living a life that doesn't feel right. That's your sensation right now. I mean, what I'm doing, it's okay. You may be making money. You may even be with, like me, depressed, not knowing what's my path. Well, it's because you're disconnected, because you're living a life that is not yours, right? So what we want to do is really understand this character that we've built our identity around, and we really want to, shift it, because what we're going to see is that every single one of the personalities has something called the light side. So, for example, for my personal case, which is the 3, you're going to see that there's connections. You can have more of one. For example, I'm a 3 connected to the 4. Okay, but the low side of the 3 is called vanity, and the high side of the number is called authenticity. So this is going to be our mission on the program. Okay, the first step in the deconditioning process, the first step is going to be identify your number. And this is something that is not going to be easy. Okay, you can try it. You can look for Enneagram. There's a lot of tests that you can do. The problem is that the ego, which is the concept of self, doesn't want to be uncovered. That's why you may, at the end, want to do the program with my guidance, because it's not going to be easy. You cannot put your birth chart, your birth date, and then you have your Enneagram. No, it's not like that. It doesn't work like that. I don't say you cannot identify. Yes, you have to observe, you have to contemplate, and at the end, you will be able to understand more or less, but you won't have the confirmation. For me, since I've counted hundreds of individuals, I really see the Ennea type or the personality type on the people I work with, on the people around my field. It's very easy for me to see because I've trained myself a lot to really observe and really understand. But that doesn't mean that you cannot find it by yourself. There's also the self-paced option of the program. And I've also developed a personal way where you can get really clear on your number. Actually, there's something called morphopsychology that studies the shape of our face is the way that we think. And actually, on my methodology to find the Enneagram, we use analysis of the face. So if you're interested on analyzing your face, you'll see that your face will tell you a lot of the Ennea type that you are. But that's going to be inside of the program. So the first thing is going to understand what your type is, your personality is. But that's not the end of it. Okay. Then we have to move from the lower to the higher energy. As I told you, in my case was vanity, and I have to take with authenticity. And this is by understanding what we're looking for in the outside. This is going to be so important because this is going to end up being your filter. And this is what I want you to get on this first part of the program, the deconditioning process of the mind, is your filter. This is what I want you to get out of this main part, which is, what is your filter? Right now, any decision that you make, it is because you're looking for that in the outside, or is because you want to do it yourself, right? And we always have to train ourselves with this filter. My personal case was, am I doing this to get validation, or am I doing it because I want to do it? Because I want to do this but for myself. And yes, I'll get validation maybe, but I'm doing it because of me. That was my filter. It can be yours if you have the same personality as I do, but you will have your filter. And that's really what I want you to get, is this filter of whenever I'm making decisions that drive to actions and drive to experiences, I really want to be living the experiences that are meant for me and not to play this character that is not who I am, right? Well, now comes the second step of the journey. And the second step of the journey is really tapping into that soul. As I was mentioning, you are born with a soul, and this soul is pure. So now that you've understood your conditioning, now you can go to the second step of the journey, which is really tapping into your soul's purpose. Having in mind that you have this filter. So, okay, before coming here, you have the filter of the mind. So you know that you're not making decisions because of the mind. And here we're going to use something called human design. Human design is a great tool that was founded on 1987. And it's a blend of astrology, kabbalah, chakras from India, and I Ching from China. Each one of these systems is blended into something called a body graph. And that's exactly what we see on the next slide. This is my personal body graph, right? From here, I've studied this many years. I've done hundreds of readings to individuals. I've guided people through courses, online courses on how to understand this. And this has driven me now to put it on a process, on a journey, and blend it with the other tools that I know. So we can learn so many things from this chart. And this is what I'm going to explain you right now. And this is what you're going to learn on the process of the program, the journey of discovering a gift. The body graph, it's a graph of what? Of energy. So everything you're seeing on this chart is actually energy moving through your system. The chakras are all these centers that you see here. There are centers that can be in complete white, like this one on the left, bottom left. There can be centers that are with color, like this one. And you can see that there are centers that are connected through channels. Well, those channels are the Kabbalah channels. If you see the Kabbalah, it looks a little bit the same. The tree of life, it's called. This is inspired on the tree of life. The tree of life is this figure that we have here. There's different centers and different connections between the centers, okay? The I Ching, it's an ancient system from the China that uses 64 numbers. As you can see here, we can have the square representation or the circle representation. And the I Ching actually comes from your DNA. So our DNA, it's our genetic code, has 64 building blocks. And we personally, from this 64, we have 26 activations, which are also called gifts. So you can take all of these activations and really understand what you're here for. For example, as you can see here, I have the number 12. What is number 12? Number 12 is the ability to discern, is the ability also of the voice, because it's connected to the throat chakra. It has to do with the communication. So I'm a communicator. And actually, gate 12 is with the planet of the sun. So this means that this is my light. This is my life's work. My life's work has to do with communication. Actually, gate 12 is on the zodiac of Gemini. So Gemini, as you know, has to do with communication, right? And I have this number 6, which is a deeper sense of the gate, which is the teacher. And that's what I'm doing here. So as you can see, I'm very aligned with myself because I've studied this tool for so many years, and you can do it as well. So I have so many gates here, so many planets, so many numbers, right? I don't know, gate 21. Gate 21 is this facet that I have. It's on my Mars. My Mars is my vocation, right? It's my work. So the 21 is the entrepreneur. That's what I do in this brand. I have also another brand with my wife. I really love, building businesses and making money. Actually, I have the money channel, right? This is a channel. A channel is always a connection between two gates. Well, what are all these things? So the numbers are gifts. So you want to learn what these gifts are. And not only that, how you can activate them. How can you apply them, which is what at the end we're looking for, right? So you want to learn these 26 activations. That's one of the first things. And these activations are related to the I Ching. You also want to learn the channels that you have. The channels are these connections between gates, between centers. These channels are energy running through your system. Okay, so you want to learn the channels as well. They have also characteristics. For example, this channel, as I was mentioning, is the money channel, but has to do with being the administrator of money. It has to do with having a team and being able to provide the money for the team, for the community. It's also the entrepreneur that makes businesses. But I have another channel, which is the community channel. It's someone that is really related to the community, to the tribal sense, to family. I'm a very familiar person. Well, the channels will give you a lot of understanding of your main energies that are moving through the chart. Another thing that we're going to learn is the centers. So the centers of energy are actually the chakras. And we have 9 centers. So the 9 centers are going to teach you which energy are you picking up from the outside, okay, and which energy I'm emitting. So the centers are really cool because you understand your energy, what is your energy, what is not your energy. Most of us are living a life that is not meant for us because we are running through centers that are not ours. Okay, and we're overriding our energy by picking up emotions. For example, you might be emotionally undefined. That means that your emotions come from the outside, come from other people, and you feel what other people feel. So you can take that energy and make it yours, and you may feel depressed, but it's because you're next to someone depressed. So these are things that you can learn. It's not only what you pick up, it's also what you give. So for example, I have the throat with color. That means that I'm a communicator. Well, all these things you can learn. What energy is yours? What energy is not yours? And this is going to be vital to tap into something called your intuition. And this is something that I want to share my screen. Your intuition is really what we want to really understand from this piece of the program. As you know, I'm telling you that what you have to learn on the first part of the program is the filter. It has to do with the mind, how my mind works, and what is the filter that I'm going to apply in every single decision. Here on the centers, so point one and point two have to do with gifts. So what are my gifts? What are my characteristics? How can I apply these gifts to the world, to my life, right? And also here, I'm going to mention afterwards, our purpose is going to be born. From the 9 centers, we're going to learn something called our intuition. And this is one of the most important things that we have to learn because this is connecting what I was explaining before. As I was explaining before, we are in this world and we have this iCloud of data that we can access. Well, we access it through our intuition, right? When we tap into that intuition, we really start listening to our soul, to this data drive, and we start putting down all these ideas, creativity, and really all these signals or where to go. So for that, we need to understand our 9 centers, how they are connected between each other. That will give the intuition in human design. It's called the strategy and authority. But this is something worth studying, contemplating, exercising, practicing, because it's something that takes a lot of time to master. But it's going to give us the intuition. And the cool thing about this is that intuition, it's opposed to that filter. So, for example, if I want to make a decision right now, I can already tell if that decision is coming from my mind. Why? Because I have the filter of my personality. Oh wow! Right now, I'm looking for that validation again. Well, or is it coming from my intuition, which I know is the right way? Well, now I have all these tools that can differentiate what's the voice of the mind and what's the voice of my, I don't want to say heart, because actually there's 7 types of intuitions. So there's actually 7 types of intuitions, and you want to learn your type of intuition. So this is crucial. There's 7 types of intuitions. You listen again. Another thing that you're going to learn is something called your role in the community, and this comes from different things, something called the profile lines, which are this part of the graph. As you can see here, I have a 6622, and if you go to the properties here, the profile is going to be 62. So that means that as a 62 myself, I'm a teacher that inspires through his experience. So I'm someone that has walked what I'm talking about here. I couldn't be teaching all of this if I haven't walked it myself first. So that's what 6 lines does. And second lines are called the naturals. It's people that are very natural talented at things. In my case is what I'm doing here. Okay. Another thing is called the incarnation cross. And the incarnation cross, you will be surprised that my incarnation cross is the cross of education. So I'm here to do exactly what I'm doing right now, which is educate, is giving a master class. That's my purpose. You will have another purpose. There's actually 765 incarnation cross. 765 incarnation cross different to you. Profile lines, there's 12 profile lines. So there's 12 ways of being. There's 765 incarnation cross, and then there's the energetic type. Your energetic type is going to be very important to understand. There's actually 5 types of energies, right? There's people that are guides. There's people that are leaders. There's people that are doers. And there's people that are, reflectors is called. There's different type of energies that you have. And this relates to something called your aura. Your aura is something that is a biofield, also called electromagnetic field. And this is how you attract things to your life, because it's magnetic, it's attractive. And this aura operates in 5 different ways. 5 different ways. So it's very important to understand how this aura works, because it's the way you attract people, opportunities, synchronicities, money, abundance. And this is very related to your intuition. Actually, what I was explaining before, that you have an iCloud and you want to access that iCloud can be only accessed with your aura. Your aura can be expanded or can be contracted. When the aura is contracted, right, it doesn't attract anything. That's why you cannot connect to your data. But if you're able to tap into that expansion of the aura by really tapping into your energy, you're going to connect to the data. And you're going to know what you're here for. Okay, that's also part of the methodology that I teach, and something that you won't hear anywhere else is I really focus on your aura. Your aura is this biofield, and you really want to tap into that aura. You really want to magnetize it. So when you magnetize it, you attract. When it's contracted, you don't attract, because it's an electromagnetic field. It is magnetic. It attracts or doesn't attract depending on the magnitude. And why am I saying that? Because if you look at the chart of human design, you're going to see that there's like an energy flowing, right? There's energy flowing. It's a bodygraph. It's a graph of energy. As you can see, there's these channels of energy. So when we have energy moving through an electric system, there's always a magnetic system, right? And this we learn through physics. Whenever there's electric current going up a cable, there's always going to be a magnetic field around it. That's what's happening with us. But we really want to tap into that energy of ours. Most of us are living from the mind, okay, from the white parts of our graphs. It's called the not self, okay? And we're living what you have here. What's my not self theme? It's frustration, okay? So I've lived all my life frustrated. Right now, I can say I live the satisfaction, which is my signature. This is what you want to live. This is what is going to fulfill you. It depends on your type of energy. So this is something that we also teach. So these are the 3 things that we teach: your role, your intuition, and your purpose, okay, which is all of these things that you want to learn. And all of this will lead you to the 3rd part, which is your dream and vision. What you're going to see throughout all this process is that really you already knew all of this. So what you're going to happen is that you're going to get confirmations of what you thought, or what you felt, better said, before. You're going to see, oh, I felt myself like this before, but I didn't have the tools and the knowledge and the wisdom that this was true. So I was not trusting myself. So you're going to start trusting yourself. You're going to start trusting your intuition and driving more from there and not so much from your mind. And this is going to lead you to the opportunities, to the people that are meant for you, right? And this is a longing that we all have, is this longing for the people that are for us, the community that is for us, right? To feel connected to people that really understands how we operate, that are like-minded, that have the same values, right? And the third thing is that you're going to connect with the dream and the vision. This is something very important. I think, and I believe every one of us has a dream, whatever it is. In my case, one of my dreams has always been to, create a school of consciousness, where there's different practitioners. I have my vision of different things. Of course, that vision has always expanded, is always expanding, but at least I'm very clear on where I'm heading. Okay. Even though life will always guide me and tell me how to get there, because you always have to put the what, not the how. Okay. The how is not for you, is what do you want, and really go to it. So that's the process that we do at Discover Your Gift. As you can see, there's a lot of things that are going on. But if we could wrap up everything, so the journey of purpose. So the journey has 3 steps. Step 1 is a step of deconditioning the mind by understanding your personality through a tool called the Enneagram. The second is going to be connect with your gifts, purpose, and intuition. And that's going to be done by a tool called Human Design. And again, we are using the important parts of Human Design for this. You're not going to learn all of the tool. This is something that I do on the practitioner, which is after this journey, you can actually work with me and really, learn all of this so you can apply it to other people. But first you have to do this journey. There I can teach you the Human Design, I can teach you Enneagram in a deeper way. And then the third thing is going to be tap into your dream and your vision, because this is going to give you like a road of where you have to go, right? It's going to give you the clarity and the direction. I'm going to put it here. So this is the journey. This is the methodology that I've developed through the years by observation, by working with hundreds of individuals. I've done it myself, and it's a methodology that works. I can genuinely say has helped all these people get really clear on their purpose, on their dream, their vision. And right now is your choice. You have a lot of information, of course, that you can search and investigate. But at the end, that's why we're here. If you want, you can do that alone on the program. There's a self-paced version. You go through the process, and then you have the access to the material for 1 year, or you can choose to do it with me and more students and really ask all of the questions that will come up. Because when you start understanding this, yes, you can watch the videos, but you're going to have lots of questions, not about the videos, but how to apply this to your life, right? And that's why I give this guidance so you can ask the questions. And I also have access to your charts. So I can give you personalized guidance, even though there's more students in the room. So you have the link to the page and the checkout below, so you can check it out. And I see you inside. If you have any questions about anything I said, you can leave it on the comments.